We have some breaking news surrounding the Toronto Maple Leafs and Max Pacioretty, as the Leafs have made a shocking move, placing Pacioretty on the injured reserve, and his injury is a lot worse than we initially thought. So we're going to break that down, as well as discuss an update surrounding Austin Matthews ahead of tomorrow night's game. That is a little bit concerning as well. Stay tuned for all that. But before we get into it, quick reminder to hit the subscribe button. If you're a part of the 70% who aren't subscribed to the channel, we go live after every Leafs game, and we're producing daily Leafs videos. So thank you guys for your continued support. And Darius, you have something to say before we get this video going?
Yeah, so today is Remembrance Day, so I just wanted to take a moment, or we just want to take a moment on the channel to pay tribute to those.
Yeah. All right, we have a lot to go over today, most importantly surrounding Austin Matthews and Max Pacioretty. And there's a lot of different things going on with this. Now, Darius, some reports came out yesterday and over the past couple of days surrounding Pacioretty's injury, specifically last night from Nick Alberga saying, hey, this injury is not that concerning. It's believed to be not as bad as we initially thought. He'll be out for a few days to, a couple weeks. And that report was wrong. And ultimately, the injury is worse than we thought. It's literally about 15 minutes ago. Again, a report came out that the injury to Max Pacioretty is extensive and will keep him out for a while. Darren Dreger came on and said that 3 hours ago, earlier this morning. But 14 minutes ago, the Leafs have placed Max Pacioretty on injured reserve with a lower body injury, and he's listed as week to week. Now, there's a lot of things. We discussed this in yesterday's video, but I did not expect him to be week to week, especially after the Nick Alberga report. But I'll digress a little bit here. We'll discuss kind of what this opens up specifically for Connor Dewar, but this is a huge hit to this team, and I've been obviously a huge Max Pacioretty fan for his entire short Maple Leafs tenure. He was really starting to get things going on that second line, and to see him out for week to week is not ideal for the kind of the continuity of this team, especially with how well they've been playing over the past handful of games here. But they do have a next man up mentality. Connor Dewar is on the horizon, so I don't think it'll be a huge loss, but it will be a pretty big loss nonetheless.
I don't want to throw fuel on the fire right away, but I'm going to do that. And I wonder if the injury isn't as bad as it is, and they're just, putting him on the IR and giving him a couple weeks off to recover from it so they can use that extra roster spot to bring either Hakanpää or Dewar back into the lineup, because it looks like Matthews will be returning as well. We'll get to Matthews in a second, but that is something that crossed my mind. But at the same time, hamstrings can go either way. It could be something where he just tweaked it and he could be back next game, or he could be out a couple weeks. And I did, speculate on our, episode yesterday that it could be a couple weeks, just the way it looked and the fact that he had to be helped off the ice. And it looks like that is the case at this point in time. But obviously the Leafs have a couple moves to make. They want to activate two guys off the IR themselves, or off their conditioning stints, I should say, with the Marlies. So this kind of helps that case. They have another 2 weeks, it seems, or a week or two here that they bought themselves, that they can, bring up another guy. They still need to make one more roster spot, so we don't know who that's going to be and who they're going to move. Could be Philippe Meyer. There are reports that that's not going to happen. But in terms of Max Pacioretty, I hope that he feels better soon. He's put together a really good season so far. You called it when they signed him that he could be a real X factor, real game breaker. So far, for the Leafs, he hasn't been that offensively, but he has been that physically, right? That we've seen so far this year. So he's been really good. So I hope he gets better soon. And I've seen a lot online about his career is over, all that stuff. I think that's ridiculous. I think he's going to recover just fine. He'll be out a week or two. These things happen. It was an awkward fall, and he's playing really physically. And for his age, you know what? I think he's looked really good. So hope he's back soon.
Yeah, we remember John Tavares spoke out yesterday, or when the injury happened, and said, "Hey, it was a couple of days ago, it had been Saturday after the game, and said hopefully it's not as bad as it looks." And again, it's week to week. That could mean 1 week, could mean 2 weeks. He's not on the LTIR, so we're good on that front. But it's still worse than I initially thought. I mean, I was hoping that it was only going to be a few games, similar to the Austin Matthews injury in the sense of how long it was the timeline was going to be. And again, he's placed in the IR, and it's listed as week to week. So, and as well, Domi and Nylander will not practice today. So let us know down below what your thoughts are on the Pacioretty injury. But looking ahead now, again, it's considered good news for Pacioretty. A pulled hamstring means he'll be out for a few weeks, which is much better than a season-ending tear. So I guess if you were of the perspective of he was going to be out for months, this is good news. But from my perspective, again, we had reports coming out as recently as 12 hours ago saying that it wasn't going to be anything severe. He might miss a few games. So it's worse than I thought. But again, if you're on the side of it where his career could be over, he'll be out for months, then I guess it would be considered good news. Good news long-term for them. And as we look at the Leafs lines of practice, we'll get to Austin Matthews here in a second. I mean, they have Connor Dewar on the top line. There's no world where that happens, but as a placeholder, sure. Nyes, Dewar, Marner, McMahon, Tavares, Benning, Robertson, Holmberg, Myers, Lawrence, Camp, and Reeves. So what are your thoughts on these Leafs lines today. Some of the most interesting, obviously this is of course normal practice, but it looks hilarious on this in this tweet here. But I am curious to see now on in tomorrow night's game how you think, and you mentioned yesterday Connor Dewar maybe on that third line, how you think this will work out for tomorrow night's game.
I don't want to put too much into it yet because usually when you see a placeholder like that, it just means Matthews is going to play tomorrow and Dewar won't be playing. But I don't want to put too much into it until we see the lines at tomorrow night's or tomorrow morning's morning skate, I should say. Sorry. If Austin Matthews is returning. So I think we'll have some more insight in what the lineup looks like tomorrow morning. I don't know if Dewar plays. Based on this, he wouldn't be playing. It would be Matthews taking that spot, obviously. And even if Matthews wasn't playing, Dewar is not playing first line center. There's just no world where that works out. He would be moved down a little bit, maybe you put somebody else there, maybe Domi again or something. But there's a lot going on with these lines. I mean, Benning is playing second wing, second line right wing, which is hilarious. So I'm not going to put too much stock into these.
You have two defensemen playing the wing.
That's right. Yeah. So I'm not putting too much into this. We'll see what happens tomorrow morning, but I would suspect, all signs are pointing to Austin Matthews making his return. Although he wasn't skating this morning, he has been skating. So maybe it is just a rest thing, a last minute rest thing, and he'll join them tomorrow and see how he feels. But I'm not going to put too much stock into this. I think we'll see something very close to a normal lineup tomorrow, minus Max Pacioretty. So Dewar, at this point, to me, I would just plug him in on the third line, see how that kind of looks. Maybe Robertson moves up, McMahon moves up, something like that. I think it's probably going to be McMahon, actually, but we'll see what Craig Berube has in store tomorrow.
Yeah, Domi and Nylander are both out for maintenance because, again, it's a doubleheader starting tomorrow, so maybe they're just giving Domi, well, they definitely are just giving Domi and Nylander a couple extra days rest. But regarding Matthews, yeah, it's interesting because he was skating and now he's not. So whether that's because he's getting himself back, into game shape and he just wants to take a rest day before playing the back-to-back, maybe they load manage him and play him one game. It's still, we haven't gotten much clarity surrounding Matthews' injury at all since it happened. But at the end of the day, he's going to be in the lineup tomorrow. All signs are pointing to that. That being said, it's a little bit concerning that he's not skating. I would have liked to see him out there skating just for the sake of peace of mind. But as you look ahead now, again, to the schedule, like we've been mentioning, they play the Senators and then the Capitals. So they have a back-to-back. But in between these, there's not that many games. So regarding all of these injuries for the Toronto Maple Leafs, whether that's to Austin Matthews and Max Pacioretty, December's super busy, but the rest of November is a pretty easy month for them. They only have 7 games in the next 20 days. So they have a lot of time to get all these guys healthy, to figure out everything, maybe even get, again, Connor Dewar and Yanni Hakanpää finishing Hakanpää's conditioning stint and all these things, because I suspect he'll be back very, very soon. But the schedule actually bodes well for the Maple Leafs' current situation, even though it doesn't bode too well for us fans who enjoy watching the Leafs.
Yeah, I know. Only one game next week. But there's a situation here where Max Pacioretty got injured this weekend. He's out week to week. He might only miss 4 games. So that is not too bad. They've been really busy. So if this was a couple weeks ago, he might miss way more games, but he might only miss 4 games at this point, which is not too bad. And hopefully we see him back soon. In terms of Austin Matthews specifically, and obviously Nylander and Domi, we know that it's maintenance day for them. In terms of Austin Matthews, I could see it just being a rest day for him because they play back to back. So if he is good enough to go tomorrow night, why would he practice today? Because he's been skating. He hasn't been practicing with them, but he has been skating the last couple of days. So why would you put him into a situation where he practices today, then he's got to play tomorrow, then play the next day, right? And then you're playing the Oilers and Connor McDavid on Saturday. So I could see a world where it is a rest day for him too. But we'll find out tomorrow morning in the line rushes and morning skate.
Yeah, I'll keep you up to date with all that. We'll have a stream after tomorrow night's game, so make sure to stay tuned for that, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.